So, Sig, we're gonna get straight into it. For me, when I think of Jito, I think of the economic engine of Solana that's kind of powering everything, making all the wheels turn over. BAM is going to take that to the next level. You're going to really elevate throughput, composability, everything going on with that. I want to dive a bit deeper into BAM, so can you just give us an overview for those listening at home who might not have read Lucas's blog?
Yeah.
What is high-level stakes BAM?
Yeah, I mean, so our initial system was called Block Engine. And so I'll give some context on that before we get into BAM. Cool. Basically, the way the Block Engine works, it still runs, but it supplements bundles and transactions while the block is being constructed. So you have like parallel paths. And that was cool. It worked for a while. It helped mitigate DOS and make transactions land faster. But then it got to a point where it's just non-deterministic because you have stuff going in parallel. So what BAM does, it unifies those paths, those parallel paths, and it runs inside TEs such that...
Pull that lanyard off.
Pull it off?
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you.
You're good. So what BAM does is it unifies that, and then it creates a between slots you get the same microstructure, and this is what market makers really want. We've been talking to market makers a lot, and one of the issues they're having is that they adjust their strategies or widen their quote based on the validator and what scheduler they're running, which is a huge problem. We need these market makers to come on board if we really want to do what we set out to do.
Yeah. And so far you've managed to get about 7.5% of stake running on BAM. Is this on track with what you're expecting? We're kind of 3 months out from when it launched.
Yeah. I mean, some of that's artificially sort of like rate limited bias.
Yeah.
We want to do a very slow rollout. It's a lot more risky than the block engine. If BAM goes down, then you see empty blocks. So
right.
We want to minimize that risk by like just hardening the system, having it bake over time, and then just like really responsibly gaining stake.
Yeah. So it's more about kind of, instead of this move fast and break things, to make sure that everything's operating as accurately as it needs to and making incremental progress from there.
Yeah, we don't want to break anything, to be honest. Move responsibly.
Yeah. We've matured, you know.
Yeah.
Perfect. So aside from that, is there end game to eventually migrate all stake from Jito Solana over to BAM?
Yes. Yeah, essentially this is going to replace the block engine.
Nice.
In Jito Solana. Yeah.
Awesome. Earlier we were speaking with Bulk. They're doing a perp stakes instead of building on the layer one, they're abstracting that out into a sidecar. My understanding is that BAM actually solves a lot of the constraints that have made perps inoperable on Solana layer one, basically, because we've seen Hyperliquid is the app of the cycle, it makes more money than anybody else, and on Solana we're still dramatically far behind on the perps race.
Yeah.
So how is BAM gonna help us close that gap?
Yeah, I mean, this is so like conceptually, what's cool about BAM is you can take the things that the protocol wants to do and do them much faster because you basically modularize like the front of the protocol. So for example, ACE, application controlled execution, we can implement that with BAM immediately as soon as we get enough stake. So for Perps, what that looks like is like now Perps can say, hey, we want maker transactions to get priority over takers, and that's not possible on the base layer protocol today. It could be possible over the next year or two, but on BAM we could ship that pretty much now.
Would that also carry over to order cancellation prioritization? That kind of, because that's been flagged as one of the success stories of Hyperliquid. Is that something we'd be able to replicate, which would elevate Solana perps?
Yeah, if you're a perp dex and you think that that's going to get you to the level where Hyperliquid is, or that's what your users want, you can have all sorts of like unique nuances about your perp dex on BAM.
How hard would it be for them to actually like switch over to BAM right now? Like, is that like a pretty easy process for them, or
they'd have to write some code. We have to put out some reference implementation, a little bit of work there. The hardest part is it doesn't make sense while we're at 7% stake.
Okay.
So
okay.
It becomes,
so as soon as that needs to kind of raise before it necessarily makes sense.
Yeah, I think around 30-40% we can have serious conversations around that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So a couple months out, I would say.
Yeah, and we kind of dug right into BAM. I'm going to take it back a little bit. We got more questions on BAM, but I want to talk about just like how important Jito is to Solana and how successful it's been, in order to like get to where Solana is today. I feel like without Jito, like a lot of transactions wouldn't have been landing, right? Do you want to just talk about like the general success of it? Because like when I think of it, it's like massively successful.
Yeah, I mean, it's been super humbling, and it's been an honor to see all the success on Solana. Our goal has always been to basically how can we build systems that make Solana better?
Yeah.
And we have 10-year, 20-year time horizons building this stuff. We shut the mempool down, right? That was a big deal. It's a big revenue stream.
Yeah.
But it was like, for us, it's like, all right, let's look a decade out. You know, that's where like real value is created.
Yeah.
And we launched to basically like mitigate some of the DOS that Solana was experiencing early on when it was on UDP.
Yeah.
As opposed to Quick. So we were kind of like a shield around the network, and then over time it evolved into like, okay, the base scheduler is terrible, so Jito's scheduler is better. Now the scheduler is getting better, but you have different schedulers running at different times. So now the new problem is basically non-determinism from the market maker's perspective. Which is the new thing we're trying to solve.
Yeah. And I mean, essentially at this point, Jito is like critical infrastructure for Solana, right?
Yeah.
It's so awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting place to be.
Yeah, I'm sure that is. And it seems like with where we're at today, it's kind of like, all right, you know, things need to get faster. So there's a bunch of different solutions to make Solana faster, give people exactly what they need. And this is where BAM fits in for that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the biggest conversations we've been having with people while we've been here is that we're kind of steering away from this original crypto ethos of decentralization, on-chain finance, financial inclusion for everybody, and we're going towards this suit-driven, you know, TradFi bros are here, institutional capital runs everything. You guys obviously have a foot in both worlds because you're running the network, but you're also powering all these day traders who are, you know, scalping on dexes. Where do you stand on the TradFi versus DeFi degen debate? Is it a dichotomy where one comes just without the other? Is it something that grows together moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. When I got into the space, it was pure cypherpunk values.
Yeah.
And over time, you realize, okay, you got to play by the rules of these large nation states to really be taken seriously. We're not trying to rebuild TradFi, but we will, you know, regulation will ultimately drive how you make big decisions in the space. So I think it just evolves over time. You kind of see maybe a hybrid of the two.
Yeah. Do you see the pendulum kind of swinging back to cypherpunk? That's been a bit of a movement in the last 6 months.
Saying that,
Privacy.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's been cool. I was always a privacy guy. So back in the day before Jito, I built a bridge from Monero to Secret Network.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah. And it was kind of popular, but the Secret Foundation was cheaping out on paying me to maintain it.
Oh, were they?
They lost me. So it's been nice to see privacy catch a bid.
Yeah.
We'll see how long that lasts.
How much of that is price based
Yeah.
and how much of that is, you know, ethos and mentality? Does ethos just follow price, or
I think it's both, right?
Yeah, which leads?
Yeah.
What leads?
Yeah.
Narrative
chicken or the egg? You know, money or privacy? Yeah.
I mean, do I don't know. Do people appreciate privacy? Like, do they appreciate financial privacy? Is that or is it just price?
I think people do.
Yeah, I
people
like the idea of it, but it's like, do I personally make any like private transactions right now? No.
Right.
You know, but the idea of it's great. You know, that's like ultimately, you know, what crypto should be.
Yeah.
You know, so when people talk about it, it resonates really
Yeah.
well.
I think the hard part about privacy, it's like cryptography is like blockchains are already technical systems. If you're not an engineer, it's hard to understand maybe, but you could understand it. Even like non-technical people could read. But like cryptography is just magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like people are like, oh, Monero's cryptography is not as good as Zcash's or whatever. I have no fucking clue how to verify.
Yeah,
that.
and who does? You know, like the
Right.
couple people that do have very strong opinions, and like you can't actually like understand their arguments, or at least I can't, right?
And the thing is, like, if you don't have it, we definitely don't, because you know, the zero knowledge proofing the cryptography stuff is it's pretty far down the stack.
Right.
You mentioned earlier shutting down the mempool. That was at a time when you guys were doing really well with mempool. You know, making through that was a massive driver for you. At the time, simple sandwiching was kind of the right of how it was working. We've steered away from that. I say we as a market as a whole, but that's been replaced by wide sandwich attacks.
Yeah.
What greater risk does wide sandwich attacks pose to simple sandwich attacks?
It's just harder to detect. There's also there's a new thing. I don't know if you were at MEV Day, but
We were here.
okay, yeah, the Ghost guys, they figured out that certain validators are sandwiching themselves on different validator slots to get them basically blacklisted. Yeah,
Shout out the Ghost guys.
they're good. They're great. Yeah, and I think BAM mitigates a lot of this stuff. because you have code that's verified in a TE.
Yeah.
So basically, if I say I'm running some code today, you can't really. I can run whatever other code I want, and that's it, right? You just have to take my word. BAM, there's like cryptographical proof that this code is actually running on this machine. So you can look at the open source GitHub and you can see, oh, there's no sandwiching here, there's no leaking here. That's what's running. It's everything upstream of BAM where the risk is. So let's say like you got to think about the transaction pipeline. It's like, okay, I'm a user, I create a transaction. By the time it gets to the validator, how many different like order flow providers or RPCs did it hit? And these are the guys where that's where like any negative MEV would happen. But I think at least by having verified at the end, you kind of like minimize the risk there a little bit.
If wide sandwich checks are harder to track and harder to follow, does that mean there could be actually a lot more damage being done than we realize right now?
Yeah. It could be a lot more damage. It could be false flags, like validators sandwiching themselves. So it could even potentially look worse than it actually is. It's a fun space.
Yeah. And what does that look like with prop AMMs? Because the thing we all learned about sandwich checks that is happening on passive AMMs, prop AMMs have obviously come in and they're attracting a lot more of that volume. Do they directly inhibit MEV, or are they more kind of vulnerable to attacks from wide sandwich attacks?
Do prop AMMs inhibit MEV? I think they help a bit because it is. Let's think about how it works. So you basically put out a quote, prop AMM sources liquidity, and they fill you, right?
Yeah.
With some slippage constraints. So it goes through Jupyter, and Jupyter chooses the best price out of the prop AMMs. So I think it definitely helps. They're kind of like intent-based systems to me.
Yeah.
Just like packaged differently.
Yeah. The user just wants the end result. They want the result. They don't care how they get there.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah.
I had a question about where these sandwich attacks are actually happening. Like I know during meme coin season, it was like there was slippage, coins were going up and down so much, and that's where there was a lot of sandwiching. But like what transactions are getting sandwiched these days? Is there like a specific type, I guess?
I think it's still kind of like mid cap, low cap coins.
Where liquidity is just kind of not necessarily there. Yeah, okay.
A lot of excitement around obviously Fire Dancer today, one of the biggest catalysts we've been waiting for a very long time. It feels like it was probably 2 or 3 years ago when they did the demo with 1 million CPS and everyone went wild for it. What kind of impact is Fire Dancer and other updates like Alpenglow going to have to the micro market structure on Solana? Can we expect dramatic changes?
Yeah, I think the Fire Dancer team's great. I don't know what sort of market structure to expect there. I think I'll leak some alpha. We're building FireBAM right now.
Okay.
That's a work in progress. So we have a very good relationship with them, and would love to see them succeed. And it'd be nice to have stake on both Agave and Fire Dancer. And then Alpenglow, I think just makes Solana much better. It makes consensus sort of like verifiable, and you can actually like have a formal verification for consensus. So what it does, I think it makes it easier to bring new engineers on and say, hey, this is the spec. Here's like a spec, you can learn about it, rather than like, it being like 12 core engineers that know how Solana works.
Yeah. Another topic that I think we should touch on is the declining validator count. So over the course of the year, we've seen the number of validators on Solana drop by about 30%.
Yeah.
It's sitting at around 8,800 now, sorry.
Yeah.
I've chatted to a few people about this, and the consensus has been this is less of an issue than we make it out to be. We're seeing a concentration move away from quantity and Sybils to quality to independent validators. Is that kind of consistent with your view?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think that's the case. I think the delegation program is getting winded down fully.
Yeah.
So it comes down to like the best operators that can actually attract stake and run a proper operation, and that's what you want for financial infrastructure.
Is that better for stake-related quality of service as well? If we have a lot of validators carrying a lot.
Have we seen SQOS actually like be effective and play out?
I was hoping you'd be the one to tell me.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen it, or at least early on when I think over time SQOS kind of gets deprecated.
Okay.
Yeah, and you won't need it, especially with BAM. You just send directly, and everybody should get a fair shot.
Yeah.
At landing a transaction.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It sounds like BAM is just like way better than the current status quo. Like
It's much better.
Like, how do we get more stake on there and get this going?
Well, like I said, we're slowing the process.
You're
down.
slowing down. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Because you want to ease into
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Yeah, we want to let it bake, be responsible about it, and sort of like really like one-on-one conversations, one at a time, synchronously get people to move over.
Yeah.
We're spending a lot of time educating people and
Being like very intentional about who you
Yeah.
bring on, make sure that they're fully on
Right.
board. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Another thing I track reasonably often is block lagging. So I track Artemis Slowpoke. They're really good at seeing to make sure that validators are not kind of overstepping that 400 millisecond line.
Yeah.
We talked about this a bit in the past. It's not really slowing down. We tried to social shame it out of kind of the cultural zeitgeist, but it's still pretty prevalent. How can we, as a network, discourage block lagging?
So we have a dashboard that's going to be public very soon.
Okay.
That you guys are going to see in the next week or two. And it just presents you the data like, hey, these are the validators teams that are slowing things down. I think the way you do it, you need to educate people. So I was talking to some of the guys at Coinbase, what their thoughts are on BAM and all this stuff.
Mhm.
Their customers who stick to them don't give a shit or even know how Solana works.
Yeah.
They just want the highest yield, and there's no alpha to getting the highest yield today. You just slow transactions down.
Yeah.
But when you look out 10 years, it's like that's not how Solana is actually going to grow
No.
and be successful.
Yeah. That's they're gonna outbuild that. Right?
Yeah, so I think it takes some education to basically like convince people like, hey, like the pie is going to get much larger if you look out 5 to 10 years, not even that long, like even like I think 2 to 4 years, the pie will get much larger if Solana is just a better network and there's no lagging going on.
Yeah.
So I think a bit of education, a bit of data, and
A bit of shaming.
yeah, a bit of shit.
Name and shame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really game theory at work, right? Because if we all work together, we can make this so much better than it is. But there's always going to be some players who are like, no, I'll just stretch these blocks out and like get an extra 50 milliseconds on, add 0.3% to the year.
Yeah, you have crypto. This space has always been filled with so many sort of like short-term sighted people, and that's human nature.
Yeah.
But I think it's important, and throughout time, you've seen like the best leaders, the best countries that form, or they kind of look out centuries even, right? And
Yeah.
and so that's what we're here to do, and hopefully people get on the train and sort of like look at the things that way.
Get the short-term grifters out of there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll get out there.
A big part of that long-term vision is obviously bringing down inflation. I was a big advocate of 228. We're seeing a kind of second coming of that with 441. In my view, 228 was brilliant. It was market-driven. It was sophisticated. 441 is kind of a bit of a hand-wavy convenience and a kind of.
What is it? Just like cut it in half?
Yeah, or double it so we get to terminal inflation faster.
Okay.
Yeah. What's your position on that? Do you think that it's going to make a meaningful difference, or do you think it doesn't really matter?
I think it matters. I thought 228 in spirit was great, but I did think it was complicated.
Yeah, it would have been a big lift to implement. Right?
Yeah, so I was always a fan of like, let's just cut inflation in half, and then in 4 years come back to it and kind of cut it in half again.
Yeah.
That's easy. It's like couple line code chain.
Yeah.
I think 441 is saying double it to get there faster.
Yeah.
Okay, that's an interesting one. I do think like lower inflation is we'll have to get there, but that's on the premise that block rewards go up, right?
That's what you would hope to kind of balance it out, because part of that is if we do, drop inflation and we drop staking rewards, and then all of a sudden all our LSTs become a whole lot less productive, and that kind of could have some second order effects in DeFi.
Right.
What's the flow on from that if all of a sudden all our LSTs get cut up? Does that have a dramatic change on the DeFi landscape?
Yeah, I think you need block rewards in the meantime to go up.
Yeah.
It should, with more volume coming on chain and Solana getting faster, and then you redirect these block rewards to the LSTs.
So that relies then on a bigger hype cycle, like we had into mean point circuits.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need sustain sort of like TradFi style, less of this like this cyclical crypto type of.
Yeah.
I think we're getting there.
Yeah.
I think we need more interesting products on chain, like real world products on chain, equities, all sorts of. I like prediction markets.
You like prediction markets?
I think they're cool. Like it's pretty obvious people want to gamble, and like, that's
yeah. We're not calling it gambling, we're calling it predictive.
Yeah, it's great marketing. It's great marketing.
Really, you've got to use the right nomenclature.
Yeah.
So it's almost like we are actually needing this this institutional TradFi capital to come on chain now to kind of sustain the system we've built. And Jito, obviously a big part of that. The Vanik Jito Salt ETF is in the works. Are you able to give us an update on how progress is going for that?
I can only say it's coming along, and yeah,
Yeah, fair answer.
I don't want Rebecca coming in.
Yeah.
Here.
She was in here earlier.
She was yeah.
fantastic. Yeah.
She's great. Yeah.
She was in here earlier and she said she had complete confidence in you to not trip over.
She
it.
pushes me a little. She tells me you gotta tweet more and be more provocative. So.
Yeah. All right. So institutional capital has been the big narrative of 2025. You know, RWAs have been a huge boom for us. What do you think is the story of 2026? Is it prediction markets, and how do we bring that to Solana instead of letting that happen on Polytrade?
Right.
Markets, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, so Kalshi, is it even on a chain?
I think there's a lot of smoke and mirrors around whether Calc is on chain or not.
Right. Unfortunately, I don't think people care.
Yeah.
Like consumers don't care, right?
Yeah.
I think 2026 is just, it's going to be like, you know, you look at all these products that were successful, Hyperliquid, Kalshi, and you know, Hyperliquid, you know, you could argue is not a decentralized blockchain.
I would say no for the 2025 validators. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And but you know, the end user actually did not care. So I think we need to build things with that in mind. Make Solana super fast, and you know, sort of like abstract the chain part away, and just build really good products like, you know, cool prediction markets. I'm saying equities come on chain. I think you could do interesting things with equities on chain.
Yeah.
If you can, you know, you could have perks. You know, imagine like you got a Costco card, but instead of buying it, you buy some Costco shares to actually get it. And
That'd be awesome.
You get certain perks around it.
Yeah. I'd love the tokenized stocks. We are part of Remora, so we work with them a lot, and like the promise of having stocks on chain is here, right? Like it's awesome. It's giving a whole new angle to like what crypto can do, right?
Yeah, and I think it gives new up and coming companies a avenue to basically differentiate and compete against legacy companies.
Yeah.
Say, hey, I'm doing this cool thing on chain that gives you more perks as a customer, so companies make.
Yeah, that'd be fun to see.
JTO token. When you interviewed my colleague Jack earlier in the year, he asked you about whether you were thinking about doing buybacks, whether Jito was heading that direction, and you were a bit hesitant. I think to paraphrase, you said you thought it might be a bit like pumponomics.
Yeah.
And you weren't really convinced. Market has said that that's actually what people want. You know, Hyperliquid, Pump, Jupiter, they've all gone that direction. Jito is also going in the direction. Is that something that has been outsourced to governance, or is that something that you guys have thought about internally and kind of pitched to the community?
We have buybacks running.
Yeah, but that's quite a recent addition.
Yeah,
the last kind of 3-4
yeah,
months.
I mean, look, I think right now is not like nothing really rewards you in this sort of market.
Yeah.
Like there's no fire to throw fuel at. We want to see markets kind of like bounce a little, get some relief, get back into sort of like, you know, things going up, and then we start throwing more fuel at the fire.
Yeah.
JTO is a big priority of ours.
Yeah.
So part of that, we all year have been pointing at Q4 and saying Q4 is going to be the golden bull run, and it looked like it was going to happen, and then it didn't happen. And we've had a pretty rough 2 months. Do you think it's just the goalposts are shifting? The 4-year cycle's now a myth, and that we're still heading in a good direction?
Yeah, I think so. I think that 4-year cycles, it's not happening anymore, and it's just anything that's that easily predictable just kind of goes away, right?
Yeah.
What do you think? You think 1010 kind of screwed us?
I think 1010 shook a lot of people out. I think open interest hasn't come back since 1010. I'm not sure if there's a few bodies that are still kind of waiting for
There has to be, right?
Yeah. So most of the people we've asked, they've said they think it's done. You know, we spoke to, I think, Aaron Scaramucci earlier, and he was of the opinion that it's pretty much taken care of. The last kind of market catastrophes we had in 2024, it took several months for a lot of those.
It was,
to rise out.
like Celsius later on, and
Yeah.
What was the other one? Blockfolio or something.
Yeah.
It was just like all of them. Yeah. They all was like one after the other. But the other thing that it's like we've been talking to a lot of people that are like more on the institutional side, and it's like they're so bullish on everything that's being built on Solana, and they're so confident in it. Like it's like a necessary part of what they're building for the future.
Right.
So it's like they're not thinking about like short-term moves. They're thinking about like how can we get like $5 trillion on chain. Like, how can we tokenize everything and like what we build? It seems like they're all so bullish on it. Like, it's kind of shifted my mindset, honestly, talking about that.
Yeah, I mean, they're back to like long time horizon. These
Yeah.
guys are thinking in decades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you're thinking like that, you're like, okay, you know, it hurts right now. What's happening, but it's not nice seeing the net worth go down 50%, 60%.
No, but
Yeah,
you know,
definitely
we
not.
have, we have that faith that goes back up after, right? And then, you know, if we've got guys like Matt Coogan from Bitwise in here this morning saying like, we believe we're on side with you, we believe it's going up as well, and their clients, you know, are putting about 800, 900 million into ETFs. That's pretty good indicator.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially after like the bang that we started out with this year. Like, everything went up right in the beginning, and it was like, here it is,
Right.
the bull run. And it's like, all right, actually, maybe not.
Yeah.
You know, a little bit of a disappointing finish.
Yeah. I think it hits you when you least expect it.
It
There's
does.
too much consensus on the Q4 thing.
Yeah.
It's never that easy.
Yeah.
It's when all the crypto bros start like rage quitting on the ethos of the
Yeah.
days that we can finally let go of that dead weight and move up again. I want to touch on, like, Solana's had a massive year, Ethereum's had a pretty quiet year, but we're still so far behind in terms of TPL, in terms of size, in terms of even RWA adoption. On like a cultural level, what do we need to do to get there and to succeed Ethereum? Because we've got the competitive spirit, that's kind of a real central part of Solana. What is going to get us past Ethereum?
I would love to look at the profiles of large whales on Ethereum that are driving that TBL.
Okay.
I mean, I've heard things, but I don't know exactly if they are true. Look at those profiles and figure out, you know, why are these guys there, basically? Who is there? What type of person is there? Is it like just like a ton of wealth was generated early on, and you know, is it stable coins mainly?
Yeah. You think it's just like the wealth effect, and the people are not willing to part from that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Ethereum feels like a safe place to kind of keep a lot of money too.
Yeah.
It's been running for so long. It's I mean, fantastic project when it came out, and it just feels like one of those things, like, you know, you feel safe keeping millions of dollars on that chain. Solana does too, but you know, Solana is more like the execution, like, you know, let's do trades, and that's really what matters. That's what drives value, is like transactions and volumes as opposed to TVL.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So we've had Sig, I know that you've got a bit of a timeline to stick to, so I'm going to let you get out. It's been wicked having you on.
Cool.
It's been really stoked to chat. Any last further questions?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I love what you're doing at Jito. I'm looking forward to seeing like how BAM comes out. Like, I'm a supporter of it. I mean, everything that you guys are doing benefits the users at the end of the day. So, you know, thank you for all that you've done. You know, pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I'll see you later.